evening and welcome to Tinkering with Edkelar. As I have a few vacuum tube based restorations coming up, I needed a way to find out if a tube is actually working or not. Besides some clear visual signs like broken glass or hazy interior, one has to test these things in circuit to be sure. When I did another eBay search for tube tester late last year, this one gem popped up. I just had to get it as it is a perfect match for the vacuum tube voltmeter I restored. It is a precision apparatus model 612. It can do tube emission, good-bad testing, pin shortage detection, battery testing, and some level of capacitor leakage testing. Like the VTVM, this device was put into storage at some time and then seemingly forgotten. The case has a slightly rotten look to it with rusted hardware, an almost completely stuck handle and a delaminating top cover. I sense a pattern here. Disassembling the device showed the, almost expected, rust on the inside. Also, there is grime all over that thing and what appears to be half of a Floridian swamp. The handle needs fixing. The mounting brackets are bent over and it's not moving for all the rust and grime. I decided to drill out the pins and clean the parts separately. All the hardware needs rust remover. I tried to get my paws on a famous brand that everybody and their grandma on YouTube uses, but Amazon seems to withhold shipping. I now have 2 different orders on a nothing is happening state. The stuff I got in the hardware store works fine, but you definitely need gloves for it. My fingers have stopped hurting by now, but my smartphone still doesn't recognize my fingerprint. Like with the VTVM case, the top cover, and only the top, is delaminating. I removed that plate and added a new sheet of plywood. Then sanding to remove the banged up old exterior and get a smooth surface. Add a bit of stain to the new wood to make it blend in a bit better. Then 2 layers of varnish to give the same color as the other case. The handle gets new pins from a piece of brass stock. After rust removing, I apply the same bluing solution I used on the other case. These ones turned out a bit more on the dull side though. Still, much better than the clumps of rust that they were before. The accessories compartment of the case gets the same velour treatment as the other. I can't have a favorite child, can I? The strength of a tube tester is to adapt to as many tubes as possible. This results in an abundance of sockets, including a spare position that allowed for upgrading the device. Nifty! Although they seem to have created an external adapter, which is also included in this set. Only one tube, a rectifier, and one lone capacitor that looks like it has seen better days. Lots of wiring though. Whoever wound up the paper did a total mess. The stop line would never show up unless the paper was already torn. Sheesh, do I have to fix everything? The transformer is a beast to behold. The bill of materials lists it as a special power transformer, and special it is indeed. The primary side has a center tab for adjusting the input voltage, and the secondary side has a filament tab for the pilot light and rectifier tube, along with 19 different voltage tabs, ranging from 0.75 to 300 volts. I was thinking about rewinding it for 240 volt support, but I do have my limits. Which is almost met. Turns out that the primary winding is in the center of the coil pack, and I could, sorta, remove it without damaging the secondary. Counting the windings on the primary side and rewinding that, while keeping the secondary side as is. Since I have to wind more than double the copper and it still has to fit within the secondary, I choose thinner wire, maybe officially too thin, but this device is not meant for continuous operation. As long as the wire isn't melting from the current, I'm okay with it. The first test is done in a loose-fitting configuration with quite a bit of hum, but I wanted to make sure that the voltages add up as expected. To close up the very slight gap between the new and the old coils, I added a decent amount of epoxy glue. The panel plate cleaned up okay enough. The silk screen is still nice and crisp, but the brushed aluminium backing is showing some blemishes. I tried some fixes in the area that will be covered with the meter, but nothing worked well enough, so I kept it as is. The meter is also very dirty. When I started to clean it, I noticed quite some oxidation on the movement and rust between the laminated permanent magnets. Yikes! Better take care of that. Before disassembling it, I put it to the test, checking how much current causes full and half deflection so I can match it on the other side. 4 milliamps full, 2 milliamps half. Okay, a linear 4 milliamp DC meter. Now, a meter movement is very similar to a pocket watch movement, the balance spring in particular. The coil is held between two jewels even. The main difference is that this has two opposing springs, so one can adjust the offset of the readout, i.e. where zero and maximum lands. The parts that are visible from the outside get a new coat of nickel. The permanent magnets get the rust layer scrubbed off. Good. And just like the VTVM, this episode has turned out way longer than I expected. So, see you next time for the conclusion. The stuff I got on the hardware store, in the hardware store, not on.